You have no idea, I don't think, how much I am you. I opened the very first CrossFit gym, Lauren and I, only 10 years ago. It may even be 10 years ago this month. I don't know for sure. But and I didn't realize that until just sitting here now this morning thinking about it. But I know what you do. I know about going into the morning before the sun comes up, hours before. I know what it's like to get up at 3:30, 4 in the morning to see those 5 a.m. clients, to be there when Starbucks opens its doors, to unlock the doors in the morning. I know about the cold, turning on the music, flipping on the TV, kind of check around, see how the place looks, you know, and I know about cleaning the bathrooms and collecting the money, you know, doing the training. I know what it is to be a one-man band, and I know the fears. This concept, my training efforts had languished for years and years and years. I don't even want to tell you how long in a commercial facility. And I had the very good luck of moving to Santa Cruz, and without thinking ahead of time. There were only a handful of commercial gyms there. So in short order, from between 95 and 99, I got kicked out of every commercial gym in town, save one. And that was a World's Gym owned by Dave Draper. And he invited me to come there after I'd been thrown out of the others. And I didn't take him up on it because he was a very close friend, he and his wife. And I didn't want to have my buddy throw me out of his gym in a year's time, because I knew he'd have to. Because I knew that the business model that was that gym wouldn't survive CrossFit. We'd crush his business. And so I did him the favor, and me the bigger favor, of striking out on my own. I remember wondering, how am I going to get clients? Because I used to being in gyms where you'd have 15 or 20,000 members, and people would see me train and you know, tap me on the shoulder or wait by the water fountain for that perfect moment to talk about training with me. And crazy thing is, it was abundantly clear first of all, I left and everyone came with me, all except one crazy bitch, and she didn't. Thank God for that. And the people were wonderful. I mean, they carried me. They took care of everything. But the wonderful thing was there was no attrition. That didn't change. And the come-on rate, the new people were coming through the door. I got new clients at a rate I'd never seen before. And I had better credibility out on my own. Everything was better. And I could hang rings. I could do rope climb, all that stuff that wasn't allowed in the commercial gym. And plugged along. I mean, it was absolutely heaven. I've never done anything more fun, and I've got this fantasy of someday getting back to that. I don't know how or what might allow for that. But then the affiliates started coming on, and the whole thing blew up, and my life changed dramatically. I wasn't going in the gym the same way in the morning. I would go in, and I didn't have clients or really anything to do, and so I was just getting in the way of Annie and Nicole and Eva and Tony, the people that were training. And I became a spectator. And as things continued to grow, I said, well, geez, now I can do some writing. So I became a writer. For the first 2 years, I think it was, of the journal, I wrote every fucking article. You don't ever get the idea that you're going to launch a magazine by being the sole writer for the thing. That was an absolute hell. But I became a writer, and then the seminar business took off big, and as things continued to grow, we found other people that could write and write better than I could and make a contribution. So I was doing less writing. And the seminar program, Dave and Nicole, where are you? Yeah, stand up. Let's give them a clap right now. I believe it was a year ago last month the first seminar went down without me there. Is that right? Yeah, a year ago. I remember leaving Santa Cruz, and I was on the freeway, And it's like, okay, you know, they're gonna take care of this thing. And I saw people coming into town that I recognized were coming to the seminar, and I twice got off the freeway to go back, and then turned around and got back on, and saw someone else, went back, got back on. It was the hardest thing in the world to do, to leave. And now we're doing 4 or 5 seminars a weekend, and I'm not there for any of them. It was a slow death. I would go and become a disruption to the training. People would want to meet me and talk to me, and I was in the way. And along the way, along this growth, I lost my way. There was people that would unlock the door in the morning, people that were turning on the music, people were doing the training, doing the seminars, writing for the journal. And my life became increasingly one of talking to the fucking lawyers and accountants and start an insurance company. And it's like, holy cow. I mean, I never had a real job because I wanted to hang out in the gym, and that's where I've been happiest. It was by default. I never grew up because I like doing what you guys do for a living. And I never wanted to like sit in a cubicle and work on a computer all day. And God, that's what it kind of turned into. Now I'm sitting in front of a computer and on the phone all day talking to attorneys and accountants. Well, it was at a seminar overseas where it became abundantly clear to me that I was in the way of the seminars, that I would become kind of a CrossFit celebrity, and people wanted to talk to me, and they'd take these breaks and they'd line up and we'd talk, and I'd shake hands and give hugs. And I see Pat Sherwood like, you know, I'm screwing up the schedule. And it was Lisa Lugo that said that, you know, we need to get these events where we just go and meet the affiliates and talk to people, where we're not in the way, where I'm not in the way of the training. And that was the birth of the 101s. And we hit the road, and I wasn't really sure why I was doing it, other than it just seemed like a natural evolution. I wouldn't be in the way. I could meet you good folks. And I got out on the road, and an amazing thing happened. I found my way. I found myself. And what I saw at each stop was me again in 1999. You are me. And that you're in there in the morning unlocking the door and flipping on the heat and turning on the lights and waiting for the people to come in and doing the training. And each and every one of you affiliates is really a microcosm for the entire effort. Your concerns, your interests, your fears, your hopes, your desires, aspirations, your clients, I recognize all of it. And on the road at every stop, most gyms have that guy or gal that's lost 100 pounds. You've got the guy or gal that's in remission from cancer, and you've got some 65-year-old guy or gal that's swinging it with the 30 and 40-year-olds. And you know, there's nothing I saw on the road that I didn't recognize and appreciate and miss. And I came to see very quickly, with just stunning clarity, that you are CrossFit, the affiliates. And it's your hard work, it's your clients, it's your efforts that are this movement, and nothing else. And I found purpose in serving you. That's what I'm going to do for the rest of my days. I'm going to help the affiliates in any way I can. And I don't have a vision for the future. I don't have a vision for CrossFit. I don't have a notion of success for me, for this movement, for my family, that doesn't involve success for you and your family and your clients. We're in this together, and we will succeed or we will fail, but we'll do it together. And that's a simple story, but it's an exciting one. So I come back to my origins, I come back to my roots, and I find purpose for my life, and it's serving you. So thank you.